Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to the Friday night chop session with Stormy B Man for this Friday, March 20th, 2026. This is number 218 in the series of chop sessions, and we're here with another fight card weekend. We got a triple header having tomorrow, Saturday, and all three broadcasts will be on the Zone Network. And guess what? We got two cards that's gonna overlap. We knew that it was gonna get to this once they started consolidating all the fights and everything, but they're gonna have to work that out because almost all of the major promotional groups are under one roof now. With the new deal that Top Rank Boxing announced this week, that they will be joining the Zone for an extended duration. So they will take their library as well as their up and coming promotional events over to the Zone. So you got everybody kind of over there. And it's something that, a lot of us, we were hoping to see things kind of pan out this way, but we're unsure of what's going to happen from the standpoint of chaos, because there are still some promoters here who haven't adjusted their approach. And we're seeing the results of that with a few of the top named fighters who aren't able to see the events that they're trying to align for themselves. So we'll talk about that a little bit this evening, a little more. But I want to open up. You see, I have here on the screen the face of badassery from a Western point of view. Chuck Norris, the man who was known initially as a karate man, a man who fought in the tournaments in the 60s, was a world champion in karate competition. He was an action coordinator behind the scenes in Hollywood somewhat. He had schools on the West Coast. He was a friend of the legendary Bruce Lee. They worked out together in the 60s. They cultivated a pretty decent friendship. And when Lee started out his film career in Hong Kong making action films, he called Chuck over to come in and play a role in one of his most renowned films, The Way of the Dragon, also known internationally as Return of the Dragon. Chuck Norris played a villain that was brought in from America to take on the Chinese bumpkin that Bruce Lee played in the film. And the fight that they had, where the film was set in Rome, in the Roman Colosseum, is a classic fight, kind of a benchmark of choreography that till this day stands as one of the greatest choreographed fight scenes between two real life martial artists, but brought to life cinematically. Chuck Norris passed yesterday at the age of 86. And he had been a gentleman that, like I said, started out as that karate man, action choreographer and stuntman, and then also had his schools. Then in the late 70s, as time moved forward, he became a box office star in his own right, starting out in action films. His films weren't pure karate, they had elements of karate. He would have karate fight scenes, but he geared toward more action type fare that would see him following along the lines of Clint Eastwood and other Hollywood sorts that made those type of action films. But the difference with him was he could actually do fighting on screen in his own choreographed action, with he and his brother Aaron Norris all often staging the action. Chuck was a good friend and business partner of Bob Wall, who passed away just a few years ago. And Bob Wall also had an opportunity to play on screen opposite Bruce Lee, not only in Way/Return of the Dragon, but in Enter the Dragon, and was supposedly slated to star in Bruce Lee's unfinished Game of Death. So the pool of talent around these men from the 60s showed that there was a strong anchorage of martial arts being brought not only to the Western world, but internationally. And Chuck Norris was able to carve out a place for himself in Hollywood, the strong, silent type, but could kick butt with his hands and feet. He would move away from those type of films and start playing in crime films, where he would play a cop or some type of ranger or something like that. And that role seemed to fit him even more so, typecast, if you'd like to call it, because Chuck would play these parts, wouldn't have a lot of dialogue, but he would stand and stare and give these reactions to things going on around him. So much to the degree that once we began the internet, he would become a meme of badassery, a word that I've associated with him because the Chuck Norris memes have him as the most unconquerable human alive. And it was a funny thing to see memes like, you know, when Chuck Norris walked outside and it was raining, the rain went back up into the clouds, into the heavens, you know, stuff like that. It was like just Chuck Norris was so bad that he could do no wrong. There was one I saw earlier today that said that something along the lines of, I won't say that one because it was kind of vulgar and kind of adult. I'll save that for another time. But there, if you could Google Chuck Norris memes, and they'll all come up. Some of them are quite hilarious. And it was noted that he enjoyed that. He found it hilarious and was a very good spirit about it. Chuck suffered some type of crisis where he was taken to the hospital between Wednesday and Thursday. And it looked to be, according to most reports, that although whatever reason that he was brought in, he was stable and he was talking with family and everything. But then came today the news that later in the day, I guess, and this happened in somewhere in Hawaii. Chuck was there for, I don't know if that's where his place of domestic was or if he had been traveling, but the news came down the pipe early this morning that he did pass away. So it's very unfortunate that we lost another one of our cinematic action stars, but he did live a full life. The gentleman was 86 years old, as I stated. And, you know, me and my affinity for Kung Fu / karate films, some people call them karate films. I am one that have always notated them as Kung Fu because karate came later. The acknowledgement is for those who cut their teeth And Chuck Norris starred in many films. One of the ones that he started in that just got remastered is a little gem from 1974 titled Slaughter in San Francisco, starring Don Juan Tao, produced by Raymond Chow's Golden Harvest Studios, which produced the Bruce Lee films. And it was roughly around that same time that he had played opposite Bruce Lee that the film was shot. Chuck plays a villain in that film, and a cigar-toting, mustache-twirling type that he often liked that film to be left off of his filmography because he wasn't proud of the role that he played in there. But you know what? It was of the era, and he did it, and I acknowledge it. And it's okay, Chuck. It's okay. Because you did grow by leaps and bounds from Slaughter in San Francisco to classics like The Octagon, An Eye for an Eye, Lone Wolf McQuade. I think he even starred in one of the films called Sidekicks or something like that, where he, even brought kids in. He was just an American Caucasian man who found his little place in the action film genre. But I got a lot of respect for him because there are martial artists that came along during that era where he, Lee, Bob Wall, and so many others, Bill Wallace, Ron Van Cleef. These men were real dedicated martial artists. And I don't think we'll ever see an era of strong martial artists like that again. It was those talents that laid the groundwork for anyone that you see of today's era who are of any substance and depth. So it's with sadness for those like myself who have come to know that this unfortunate news has come around. But like his bodyguard / sparring partner said, Chuck Norris was a man that lived life. We all die, but we all don't live. And this man lived, and he was known to treat people well. There was a period of time where his political beliefs came to the forefront, but all of that was due to the changing of our society with the internet and social media access. Because what your personal beliefs are just that. But of course, when they are magnified and put before the world, it can make you appear very small, or it can make you appear larger than life. But we all do have our quirks, talents, and flaws. So my brother Drew Titan and I did a 3-part series on Nerds on Culture on Chuck Norris about a little over a year and a half ago. I'll dig up those episodes because we ran them 3 weeks in a row. We focused on Chuck Norris, and those shows got some of our highest views for nerds. So be looking out for the re-uploading of those shows, because it's all in respect and dedication to this man who brought a lot to the industry from a small, like I said, I can't emphasize it enough, a small corner of cinematic history where action was strong in films. Not so much heavy special effects, but men who could be men Gritty, rough, tough, brawling, fighting, climbing out of the pits of adversity. His mission and action films, where he played Braddock, they were very popular. He got a chance to be called in by Sylvester Stallone to appear in one of the Expendable films. And it was, although he didn't join the roster of the Expendables, he had his own cameo scene where they came across him and they all knew him and he knew them. And they invited him, hey, we got this mission we going on. You want to go with us? And Chuck was like, that ain't my style. And he begged out of the situation. But his little moment in that film was so hilarious because it was so Chuck Norris. It was like the lone soldier type guy. He's not a part of a team. And he could blow up the whole state by himself, you know what I mean? So, and Sylvester Stallone respectfully depicted that when he had Chuck cameo in his film like that. So at least he did get a chance to do his little tour in the Expendables. Great stuff, man. So, from my channel, Stormybman, Stormybman's Temple of Kung Fu and Entertainment, and Stormybman's Temple of Culture and Entertainment. Let me just say that condolences go out to this gentleman and his family. And may we forever enjoy, his films and television shows that he's left behind. Because there was a time when he was in American households every week with his Walker, Texas Ranger television show. So, just wanted to say that. And we can go forth with our show. Appreciate everybody that's coming to the building this evening. Just know that when I do what I do, it's always, me trying to do it with class and show respect. There have been certain situations where there have been other people who have left us. Our society is getting to a point where there's a certain generation that's passing away. And that's a reality. But there's nothing like being able to take time out and pass the baton, huh? Yeah. And I don't know who's going to take up that mantle that Chuck represented, because we're definitely in a soft era, of existence for the males in our society. Don't know what's going to happen with that. We can only hope that that can be better, but it is what it is. So welcome everybody to the Friday night chop session. We got a little bit of information to talk about here. Just a little bit earlier, we had a fight that was on the Zone. I had did a breakdown video on this, and it wrapped up a short time ago. Mike Conlon, Irish Mike Conlon, fighting over in Ireland. Because this was also broadcast on DAZN, he took on Walsh. And once again, the WBC International Featherweight title was on the line, and Conlon lost a decision. The fight was closely contested, and it's unfortunate that Conlon has found himself in a situation like he has. After having a pretty decent amateur career, and he was thought to be one who could go and move toward the professional ranks, but he just hasn't been able to get over that hump to become a world titleist. He dropped a split decision to Kevin Walsh in this fight, and the rounds were close, but there's just something happening with Conlon. I don't know if it's how he's living. I don't know, because I've only seen him in the ring. Don't follow him, but maybe it's even because he has refused to try to get different trainers and try to get better. I don't know. But at the featherweight division, he should have been able to be a little bit better than what we've seen of him. I think with this particular fight, his record now drops to 20-4 with 10 KOs. Yeah, so. But yep, that was one of the fights that kicked off early for this weekend. And like I said, I did do a breakdown video on it. That's what I do. You know, I tell you guys, I try to let you know what's going on, but it's just a matter of not if you want to tune in and see for yourself, show a little love and support, you know. But yeah, let me do a quick roll call, see who we got in the building. We got a few people out there this evening, and we're multi-casting, multi-streaming over my channels of Stormybman, the Kung Fu Temple channel, as well as Rumble. And for some of you who have yet to do it, we just went over 100 followers on Rumble. Please continue to follow over there, because anytime I decide I want to play certain elements of content that YouTube has a real problem with, whether it's music, licensed music, clips, films, whatever, we could go right over to Rumble and not miss a beat. So please, if you're on my channel over here on YouTube, just join me over there too, because I'm telling you, that is the move that we have to make in order to bring you content that's great. Yeah, bars. There you go. So, see who we got in the building. Brother Drew Titan is out there. He says, the last real man from our era in Hollywood. Yes, sir. Chuck Norris. Convos with Cam is in the building this evening. Salute to you, Convos with Cam. Hope you're doing well. She says, salute Stormy in chat. Del Riv is out there. What's good, Del Riv? No Smoke Television in the building. Hen Dog is back with us. LPRN is both here on StreamYard as well as over on Rumble. Rod Neal, where you been, man? You've been ducking me, son. You've been ducking me. What's going on with you, Rod? Good to see you out there. Shogun 76, the Shogun from Harlem. He says, one of my favorites was Lone Wolf McQuade. Yes, sir. It's a great film. He and David Carradine got a chance to cross paths for the first time in history. Yeah. Hen Dog says, what? I never knew that. What is that you talking about, Hen Dog, that you didn't know? I've been talking for damn near 30 minutes now, so I don't know what it is that I said that you weren't aware of. Shogun says, don't forget about Silent Scream. No, you mean Silent Rage. There you go. Silent Rage. There's a correction. Adrian Viet in the building saying, Chuck, stopping chainsaws with bare hands. Silent Rage proved Chuck dominates slasher horror films. There you go. Yeah, Hendog says Expendables 2. Benjamin Harrington is in the building. What's good with you, Benjamin? Good to see you out there. Hendog is laughing. He says, I love that. No Smoke says classic. Tay-Tay is in the building this evening. The real queen of MMA and combat talk. What's going on with you, Tay-Tay? Salute to you. Yeah. So who else we got? Derek Gaines just popped in. What's going on with you, Derek Gaines? And what is that? Robert A. Hill. What's going on? Salute to you. Yeah. So Mike Conlon drops another one. And it's very unfortunate because, you know, I was hoping that he can get himself in a position to, you know, kind of climb up. But hey, Kevin Walsh has something else to say. You see, that's why you got to have the fights. You can look at everything on paper all you want to. You can point the finger and say, oh, this guy will beat that guy and everything until they get in that ring. They get in that ring and then you realize, uh-oh, something else has happened. Huh? So, yep. And that's what that is. So, man. So let's talk about something else that has happened recently, man. It's like, you know, there's a lot of gossips and stuff happening out here with the sport of boxing. And, you know, I sometimes will kick the can down the street. But I have to tell you, I can't partake in these reindeer games, huh? I have to be able to, you know, shower and put on some smell good and deodorant and everything. Anoint myself with some oils because there's a lot of trash out there when it comes to boxing. Well, I want to ask a question to you guys who are in this chat. Why aren't we hearing more about this right here? The MVP ESPN deal, where we're having MVP consolidating almost all of the major women fighters in boxing under one roof, and they've brokered a deal where they will be on ESPN. Now that's very interesting because women's boxing has not only taken a huge step forward with some of the matchups and performances as of late, but they've carved out their own space that now they are going to have the considerations that will elevate their aspect of the sport even more by being on ESPN. Now, ESPN just got rid of Top Rank Boxing, but here they come right back with MVP. Now, there won't be just all women cards, even though there will be all women's cards. There'll be some men mixed in, but isn't it amazing that this type of deal was able to be made? Nobody's talking about this. This is history. You have a few fighters who are on their way out. And I'm not proud to say that because fighters like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, they're in the twilight. They're at the end, but you've got all this young talent that's coming along. And there's a young lady out of Canada coming about in boxing with the last name Thibodeau. You guys better watch that woman there. She's pretty damn good. I've seen her twice now. But when you talk about so many of the other fighters, Alicia Baumgardner, Caroline Dubois, Tierra Brown, there's just so many of them. Even Gabrielle Fundora. I mean, it's enough to really whet the appetite. But I'm just surprised these so-called sexperts, and these are women, so women have a sexy aura, right? It's like, why the sexperts ain't even looking at them, Is that why we getting all these man fans? Because maybe they fancy men more than women, What's really going on? Leave it to me to point it out, Yeah. What's really going on? Y'all can't talk about these buttes, Listen, I love boxing, but I ain't loving on the men like that. I just want to see them get in the ring and fight. I don't need all that extra. The hell is going on? But I'm going to read to you an article that was produced just a few days ago. MVP has announced the launch of MVP PW, a new global platform for women's boxing, along a multi-year agreement with ESPN as the U.S. home of MVPW events through 2028. With the gold W embedded directly within the MVP logo, MVPW signals that women's boxing is a foundational pillar of the company's long-term global strategy and is afforded the same platform and push as men's boxing. Each event will be subsequently branded with beginning with 01, establishing a clear yet round schedule showcasing the sport's most elite female fighters. The MVPW platform debuts with MVPW 01, sort of like Zuffa 01, Zuffa 02, Zuffa 03. So they're going to be doing their shows like that with a 01, 02, 03. The first one will be on Sunday, April 5th in London, where Sky Sports will broadcast the event live in the UK and streaming live in the US on the ESPN app as the first event under the new agreement. The platform makes its US linear premiere on Friday, April 17th, with MVPW02 headlined by MVP's unified super featherweight world champion, Alicia the Bomb Baumgardner, who's 17 wins, 1 loss, and 7 KOs, versus top contender Bo Mi Ri Shin, who's 19 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, and 10 KOs, at Infosystem Theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Listen, let me just stop right there for you guys. That fight, Baumgardner against Bo Mi Ri Shin, that is not a cakewalk for Baumgardner. It is not. That woman, Bo Mi Ri Shin, is a tough hombre. She gave Caroline Dubois all that Caroline could ask for in a challenge last year. And Alicia had better be on her P's and Q's because the woman can punch. Those 10 KOs out of 19 victories are not by mistake. That woman can punch and she can fight on the inside. to the degree that when her battle against Dubois was over with, Dubois was talking about how she needs to go back to the drawing board and learn how to fight better on the inside. Yeah. See, how many times have you heard me say, watch boxing? Watch boxing, y'all. So that's going to be a great fight for Alicia. And at Madison Square Garden, I'll be looking with anxious anticipation for that fight. MVP W303 will take place Saturday, May 30th in El Paso, Texas, headlined by MVP's WBA lightweight world champion, Stephanie Han, who's 12-0 with 3 KOs. The most decorated two-sport athlete in combat sports history will be facing her in Holly Holm, who's 34 wins, 3 losses, 3 draws, and 9 KOs. The deal will deliver a mix of linear and streaming distribution, with the majority of events airing on ESPN's linear channels, and a significant milestone for women's boxing and female sports. The launch cements MVP's position as the global home of women's boxing and follows the company's multi-year investment into the sport, including record-setting global events, the signing and development of more than 40 female athletes, and the promotion of the highest-grossing women's boxing fights of all time. MVPW will showcase the sport's most elite fighters and championship bouts on every card. Additional international broadcast partners will be announced soon. Since inception, MVP has strategically focused on creating an umbrella brand as the global home for women's boxing, with the best fighters in the world, that engages existing boxing fans and attracts untapped fan demographics that embrace women's sport. And today we proudly enter a new era, says Nakisa Bedarian and Jake Paul, co-founders of MVP, Most Valuable Promotions. Over the past 5 years, we have invested heavily in female athletes, delivered historic and record-breaking events, and proven that these athletes belong on the biggest stages in the sport. Partnering with ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, to launch MVPW across its platforms is a historic milestone, and aligning with the sport's most iconic venue, Madison Square Garden, as we introduce the brand in the U.S., reinforces the scale and ambition behind what we are building. MVPW is the first boxing brand that truly features the best fighting the best on a consistent basis, and it begins in the U.S. with one of the sport's most electrifying champions in Alicia Baumgardner, facing top contender Bomi Rishin on Friday, April 17th at Madison Square Garden, alongside unified champion Shadesha Green in the co-main event. Then on Saturday, May 30th, Stephanie Han and Holly Holm will settle their rivalry in El Paso, all live on ESPN. MVP brings together some of the most accomplished and dynamic championship athletes in boxing, competing on a stage that reflects the magnitude of their talent, says Rosalind Durant, ESPN Executive Vice President, Programming and Acquisitions. We're proud to bring these championship matchups to ESPN and the ESPN app and further elevate women's boxing for fans across the country. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is historic. Who's talking about it? Who's talking about it? I'm not trying to be special. I'm just saying, do I not always have that phrase, watch boxing? Some of those names that were mentioned in that article are some of the prominent fighters of today, putting on some of the best shows. The least we could do is show a little bit of love and respect for those who are putting in that work. But it's very difficult when you don't have people who believe in what they're doing. If you're going for sensationalism, can continue to do that. The sport is going to pass you by. Yeah, readily pass you by. And that's okay, because everybody ain't going to make it. Yeah. But I tell you, some good stuff happening, man. Some of these matchups. Jake Paul may find himself in the best possible position, just handling these female fighters. And if he happens to become the high profile promoter like a Don King doing that, because Don King was the one that ushered in women's boxing on major cards. People forget that. So even making this deal with ESPN, he's gone further than Don King was willing to go. But there's a pool of talent that is so vast that you have to pause and take a look at what that is. And I take my hat off to him, because that's really some amazing stuff right there. Amazing. So yeah, look forward to that. So between Zuffa Boxing, MVPW, and all of those consolidated promotions under the zone, we'll have basically 3 categories, with one of them being exclusive to women. I saw an interview earlier this afternoon where Michaela Mayer was talking about her newly signed deal with MVP. And I'm very impressed with what she had to say, because she shared something that says that she's got a 6-fight deal. And with this 6-fight deal, it's going to take her through various weight divisions. She's not going to just be at one weight division. That's interesting, because she said she will go as high as 160 not a pound over that. And she'll drop down to as low as 140, but really with 147 being her stop point. The exception for 140 is a rematch with Baumgartner. That's what she says, you know, which is pretty cool. That lets you know how serious she is about taking on quality matches, you know, and I give her credit for that, because she doesn't have to do that, but the fact that she's willing to do that, it's like, hey, that's great stuff, man. That's great stuff. In fact, I'm going to pull up that interview. I just watched it before I went live. And we can see where she spoke on these things. Let me see if I can. Put this up here, you guys. And salute to Fight Hype for this interview with Michaela, because she revealed that information, and like I said, a lot of people are not following, so they're unaware of this. But Michaela gets to take on a number of challenges, a 6-fight deal. She said this will be her final contract that she signs for boxing. And the interview is from about 10 hours ago. So let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. Let's see here. Let me know in the chat if you can hear her when she starts talking. When I say go, that means that she's talking. You let me know if you can hear her or not, okay?
This is Chris from Fight Hype, and I'm here with 3-division champ and current unified WBA and WBC super welterweight champion, Michaela Mayer. Michaela, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Well, let's just jump right into it, because the breaking news is that you've joined forces with Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions. I know you had an amazing run with Top Rank. How was that? How is this shaping your next chapter in the sport of boxing?
First off, yeah, I did. I had a really great run with Top Rank. You know, we didn't end on bad terms. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the way they developed me. You know, I've had a ton of fights. I've had a ton of exposure. So really, really great career so far. But right now, MVP is just the place to be for us women. You know, they're doing a lot and just changing the game for us, giving us the opportunity and the platform, and they're signing women that really just didn't have the opportunity. You know, I've had a very blessed career when it comes to that, and a lot of the women just haven't had that. So they're giving them their time and their shine, and I love it, and that's great, and that's what you need to really develop the sport. So I'm excited for this last chapter. It is the last chapter. It's kind of sad, you know. It's a 3-year deal, so I think it's like 3 years, 6-fight deal. And yeah, that'll be it for me. So I'm going to make it the best.
So
Now, see, this is what you call an ambassador of the sport for the women's side of boxing. Michaela has always been a stand-up individual, but just to see her show love and elation for the next crop of women, some have been around already, but she is still expressing joy and excitement that they're going to have a platform to show their wares and have the opportunities to not only be kind of presented in the sport, but a platform where people will tune in worldwide, because ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports, right? And though the sport of boxing was so-called dying, right? But not for the women. And if you haven't been watching women boxing over the past 3 years, you have been doing yourself a disservice, because these women of today are not like the women of 5 years ago. But the past 3 years, it has been something tremendous. And I've taken the opportunity each and every time I can to say something about that. But I'm just one little voice out here in the wilderness in a sea, an ocean of people who could do more than talk about, yeah.
So are we saying that this is potentially like the last dance for Michaela Mayer, this 3-year deal?
It's the last contract I'll be signing.
Wow. Okay. So
I know, it's so
are
sad.
you obviously, you know, MVP has a deep roster of talented women, obviously both established stars and rising names. What mega fights do you see potentially having, you know, happening in the future for you now that you're with MVP?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest deciding factors of going with MVP, is that I knew I would have access to a lot of the best fights, to make the best fights possible for the fans. They have the girls, they have the roster. And lucky for me, just with my body type, and you guys have seen my track record, I can fluctuate in weight. So I'm willing to fight anywhere from 140 to 160 for the right fights. I'm walking around now about 152, 153, so 47 and 54 is probably where I'm most comfortable. But again, for the right fights, I can go down to 40 and go up to 160. And they got a handful of girls there in all those divisions.
Now, I know that there's rumors buzzing in regards to potential showdown with Chris Cyborg as your MVP debut. How true are those, you know, rumors?
No, not for my MVP debut. But Cyborg's team did reach out. You know, she is ranked now at 154, which I hold 2 belts at. So, you know, I'm open to that fight. I really am. I'm open to any fight. You guys know I'm a gangster like that. I'll fight anybody. So we'll see. I think right now there's a couple girls that ahead of her that I need to get done. You know, I want to finish what I started and fight Lauren Price for undisputed at welterweight, and you know, maybe do the same thing at 154. You know, they have O'Shea Jones. MVP has O'Shea Jones and Chantel Cameron, who's fighting for the WBO belt that I just vacated. So a couple good fights there. But if we can squeeze it in somewhere, you know, I'd love to get that done. Again, Clarissa Shields, we're working for Clarissa Shields at the end of the year. So a couple of big fights already on my radar, but not opposed to a Cyborg fight.
Now, the fact that she mentioned Clarissa, that's very interesting. Clarissa just signed this so-called big deal with Salida. She remained with Salida. But all of the fights and potential opponents are over at MVP. She dissed Jake Paul, said she would never fight for him. If she's gonna fight Mayer, she's gonna have to come to the table and negotiate with MVP. Do you see why what Devin and Bill do, what they do, the way they do, the independence is so significant? And they do not burn bridges. They do it with class and businessman acumen. Something that could teach a lesson to a lot of these people out here. Salute to my brother Drew Titan over there with the Rumble rant. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Yeah. Are you saying I should move, Drew? I'll wait for your response. Drew, are you suggesting a move? Or was that just a donation for the Rumble rant? Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, see, that's why I asked. I said, because, you know, my intent is only to let you all hear Michaela's own words. You know, if you notice, I still got the MVP up there. So you don't necessarily see her on video, you know. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Drew. Thank you. Yeah, you guys, if you do want to show a little, you know, love by donating, of course, I got my Cash App running at the bottom of the screen down there. But I didn't see Columbia out there. She usually posts the links in the chat. But there is a pinned link at the top of the chat where you guys can go to Rumble if you decide that you want to show some little love for the live stream. You can hit the Rumble rants over there, and that'll keep the greedy little fingertips of Miguel and so some of his cohorts, you know, keep their hands out of the pocket. Get your hand out of my pocket. Yeah. You know. But let this go a little more with Michaela.
So I definitely want to get into that Clarissa Shields thing that's going on right now. But when can fans really expect you to be back in the ring with MVP?
So they just let me know. August. August is the next available date on ESPN. They want me to debut on ESPN. Obviously, makes sense. I wish I was fighting April, May, June, but I'm not. You know, just because of the things we've been doing in negotiations and all that. It's pushed out till August, but I'll be ready. That just gives me more time to get stronger and get better. I'm in the gym every day, so yeah, August 8th.
And I know you're down to fluctuate in weight. Clarissa Shields obviously has been making a lot of noise lately, even calling out guys like Rolly Romero. What do you make of that? And as a potential fight between you two, you said you'd be willing to make it at 160. Do you still feel that way? Is that a fight you're seriously looking to pursue, or do you think that this is just all social media talk on Clarissa's end?
No, it's not social media talking. I can confirm that. You know, our teams have been speaking about it. It's a very real possibility. I'm not a natural 160 pounder. I'm not really even a natural 154 pounder, but again, I'm going to do what I have to do to make the best fights possible. So I think 160 is the highest I can go. I know Clarissa has mentioned a catch weight at 62, 63, 64, but you know, I'll give her time to get down. I understand that it's not easy, but I just don't think I can go above 160. So hopefully we can meet there and get that fight done, because I know everyone wants to see it.
Now, see, This is where you talk about class against what's happening in the men's division of boxing. Michaela and Clarissa are cordial. At one time, they were friends. I knew of that at one time. I don't want to speak too far ahead of myself by suggesting that they're still friends. If they are, God bless. But there is still the notion of fighting one another because they are professional like that. You know? And they are willing to break bread and bone against one another to make the best fights in boxing. Curious, who doesn't do that in men's boxing? The list is about as long as my arm. These guys today, sleeping head to toe in other ways as well, won't even get in the ring with each other, huh? Yeah. This woman says that her prime weight is 147 and 154, but she's willing to go all the way up to 160 to meet Clarissa. And it's down as low as 140 to face Baumgartner. That's class stuff. Baumgartner is not willing to go up and face anybody. Baumgartner isn't even really interested in facing Caroline Dubois, who's breathing down her damn neck. See, Baumgartner has embraced the star status thing. And you're going to have those. Michaela will talk about that in this interview. But there are others who are out there who are hungry. They are hungry and they are willing to fight. Lauren Price, whom I was really respecting when she was on her way toward the title, once she defeated, what's her name? The girl from the UK. Once she defeated her, then she kind of pumped the brakes because Michaela was ready to fight her immediately in a unification, and she wanted to pump the brakes. She priced herself out and everything. So you do have some of those elements in the women's division of boxing. Tierra Brown turned down a fight with Baumgartner. Now, we don't know why, but Tierra is getting her feet wet on this MVP thing, MVPW, because she was like fighting under Matchroom and everything after defeating Sky Nicholson, right? So I think she served her last fight. The contract was finished with Matchroom, so she signed with MVP. And I don't think she just wants to jump into a unification fight right away. I can't speak for Tierra, but I would like to see Tierra get back in there because she can fight. But we need to see these fighters step up. And it's great to have someone like Michaela out there because she is paving the way like some others.
Now, what are your thoughts on the whole Rolly Romero thing? And I know that she's been going viral on social media. A lot of people say for the wrong reasons, a lot of people say for the right reasons, that she's making noise. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I mean, Clarissa's her own person. She can say what she wants to say. Me personally, I am very aware of the difference when it comes to men and women's strength. When it comes to, skill and being able to land punches, I'm sure she can. But I mean, who knows? Once Rolly throws that left hook or does what he does, put all his weight behind his punches, it's just different between a man and a woman. So it doesn't really matter because that fight's not going to happen. So we can just get over it. Let Clarissa have her confidence. That's what makes her great, right? That's what makes her such an animal in the ring. So I'm not going to hate against it, but fight me, not Rolly.
And I have to ask you, Michaela, because I know you've wanted the rematch with Alicia Baumgartner, but it never seems to come together. And now that you guys are both with MVP, do you think that there's a real shot about making that fight happen, maybe even as a main event in the U.S. this time, maybe on a platform like Netflix, which I think would be a big fight, especially that people would like to see the rematch happen. And just what's your take on Alicia often calling people out, especially after, what some saw as a lesson seller last performance?
Listen, the rivalry that me and Alicia Baumgartner have comes once in a lifetime. It's something that she's not going to find again. I'm not going to find again. And it was great. The fans loved it. It was great for the sport, and it grew women's boxing so much. And just imagine if we would have had a rematch. I'm not regretful that we didn't, because I think it was important that I took the time to move up, because I feel better and I know I needed to do that. And everything sort of, took a couple of years, but everything sort of aligned for me, and I'm in a great place. So, no regrets, but there's a lot of money left on the table still. And I'd hate to retire with all that money sitting on the table. Okay.
And she's right. She went on with her career. Baumgartner is the one that didn't want the rematch. You squeaked out a decision against this woman in a fight that I didn't feel that you won. But if you're all that, you go right back in there and you run it back. Not only because it was a close fight, but because of, like what Mayor just said, all of the money that was on the table. You have an opportunity to bring in that De Niro that isn't there for you under any other circumstances. And it's not blood money. It's the money that you all have accrued by facing each other. See, that's the other thing. You got guys and girls who might sell their record, sell their title, sell their position because they yearn for that bag. But that wasn't the case between these two. They were two top fighters. They came together in unification for Undisputed. It was a close decision that could have gone either way, and it's unfinished business. You beat me today, you might not beat me tomorrow. I beat you today, I might not beat you tomorrow. But you go at least twice, at least. Usyk is talking about fighting Fury for a third time now. Why? You beat him decisively twice in Saudi with a straight clean slate. It's like he didn't have a chance to have his goodie bag. He didn't have a chance to be microdosing and all of that other stuff, pulling out and then going back. He didn't get a chance to do any of that foolishness, and damn near got stopped the first fight. But see, Mayer is a real fighter. Baumgartner is someone that, dare I say it, she represents something that's a little bit different from real boxing. Yeah, I'll say it if nobody else wants to say it. But you got some hungry wolves out there. And they are willing and ready to get the work done, roll their sleeves up and go for it.
And all that exposure that would help to grow women's boxing, because we would get that done for sure. We would take it to a whole nother level. So I would love the rematch. I've wanted the rematch. Maybe it was put on hold for a reason, and now it can come together even better and greater and bigger. We're both with MVP. I know I want the rematch. I've let her team know. I've let MVP know, and we'll see. It's sort of, she has to want it too.
And do you have any words to tell her? I mean, and I know that she's been, saying a couple subliminal things here and there on social media about yourself. I mean, is there anything that you want to say? I would say maybe just in retaliation back to her.
No, it's really just, it's the business move here, right? You want to grow women's boxing. You want to make the biggest and best fights possible, like you say. We're the biggest and best fight possible to make. And you want to make money. Everyone wants to make money in this sport, right? We don't work our asses off just to retire with nothing. So let's get this fight done. Let's give the fans the fight they want to see and do what we do best.
You see, one of the things that she won't say that I'll say, it is very difficult to watch the sport of boxing with people who are weaseling their way through the sport. They get these gift decisions and they kind of have a little bit of a, what would you call it? It's like they have a little bit of favor with certain judges, even certain sanctioning bodies. It's like Canelo. Canelo has been allowed to stay away from the threats of those who could, let's just honestly say, have their foot up in his behind. You know what I mean? And that's through being competitive, not being so dominant or nothing, just being competitive, someone who's going to challenge your ass. And see, Baumgartner has been in a position where she's had some success. That fight with Mayer was very close. Like I said, could have gone either way. And everyone that she's faced after that has kind of been like slimmer pickings for her. So now you're in a position where you can kind of see yourself being, if not the face of MVPW, you're in a position to be that, and you don't want to risk it. Well, see, what's different about the women's division of boxing is there is no risk of that. Look at Amanda Serrano. She's kind of the pioneer of it, right? And she's well respected, but we do know that she's at the end of her career. There are other fighters that you could see them coming along, and they're going to make a difference. And you're sitting on that perch, you can only be there for so long. Then something's going to happen. You're going to be exposed.
Amazing. Also, Katie Taylor announced that she's actually having her last dance, her last fight before she plans on retirement. Obviously, what message would you give Katie Taylor? She's been, a big pioneer of the sport of boxing. And if that opportunity did come up with you being a potential final opponent for her for that farewell fight, would you be able to take that fight?
Yeah, so Katie Taylor is one of the names I would go down to 140 for. Alicia Baumgartner too. I'd meet her at 140. I've always wanted to fight with Katie. I always thought that fight would happen, and it just hasn't. I let her know when we met at the WBA convention that I'm willing and able if she wants to come back for one last fight. But it's sort of up to her. She has an amazing legacy. She's done so much for the sport. She's had a great career. She's fought the best. She's never shied away from competition. So, but I do think that I'd be the best challenge for her. She could take a easier challenge like Sandy Ryan, who has the other belt in that division, and make her final dance a big undisputed fight. But Sandy's a save option. I'm the challenge, but it's up to her.
Obviously, that would be an amazing fight, not only just for boxing fans here in the U.S., but across the pond as well. Obviously, you're a 3-divisional champ. You've succeeded at all those weight classes already. Which weight class feels like your home, like kind of going forward?
147. That's where I'm. I don't really believe in cutting weight anymore. Seeing how good I feel now and fighting at my natural weight, I think that's the best way to do it. So again, I walk around at 152. 147 is definitely my weight class. It comes off naturally in camp. But for the right people, I'll do what I have to do. I have the experience now. I know how to do that in a safe way, you know, which I still think is a huge issue in this sport. Just learning how to diet right and not cutting water and, you know, doing it in a safe way where you're still protecting your brain. But since I know all that, I am willing to adjust my weight to make that happen. Yeah.
And you know, with obviously, I got to ask the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano fight. Who do you see coming out on top? And you know, it's another big fight, right? That could happen, a potential showdown with somebody, the winner of that match, or a Ronda Rousey, right?
Hey, no, the possibilities are endless. You know, especially being with MVP and having all these options. Like it's just a crazy time to be a part of women's boxing. But of course, I mean, if Ronda Rousey decided she wanted to cross over to boxing after this and take a fight with me, I'm game. But I don't know if that's on her radar. I do think she'll win the fight. And listen, I'm a big fan of both of them. When I first started walking to a gym, it was a Muay Thai gym, and Gina Carano was the girl. And I remember a couple of weeks into training, I said, I'm going to fight Gina Carano. I think I was 17 years old. So she was the girl for me, like back then, you know. I looked up to her a lot, and then all of a sudden, here comes Ronda Rousey making some big noise. She brought me in for one of her camps for sparring, so I know her, and I think very highly of her, and I'm really excited to see her back. But if I had to put money on someone, it's definitely going to be Ronda Rousey.
Excellent. And you know, I have to ask you this, Michaela. If you had to rank your top 5 female fighters right now, including yourself, who's on that list and in what order?
I hate these questions because they're difficult. But I mean, I'm putting myself at number 1. Not just saying that. Like I really do believe it, and I don't even think the world is seeing half of what I can do. Just making this change with Kofi Gentua for the last year and a half, like. I've jumped levels, and that's why this next deal that I signed, this next couple of years, you're going to see the best version of me. So I'm going to number 1. I'll let Clarissa sit behind me at number 2. And then I guess I can't put Katie Taylor on there because she's retired. I don't know if she is. So you got me, you got Clarissa, you got Katie Taylor, you got Gabriella Fundora. She's a beast. If Sinisa wasn't retired, I'd put that bitch up there. Even though I hate her.
For those who don't know, Sinisa Estrada and Michaela are like best friends. That's why she said that. But you know, Sinisa is just had a baby with Chris Mannix of all people. What is really going on in the world? Chris Mannix? And Sinisa is, man, don't get me started. I'll have to go over the Rumble, huh? But anyway, yeah, Fundora is a problem, you guys. The only thing is that Fundora is not, she's kind of in that Baumgartner situation. She wants to sit pretty and stand pat where she is because she's got it her way. But if she were to move up, she would be challenging herself. She needs to fight heavier opponents because her bone density at that flyweight division, she's so much stronger than the other women who are so tiny around her. She's going to beat them all the way she's been winning until she transitions and goes up to a heavyweight class. I would even suggest that she go up at least 15 pounds because down there at those weight divisions, the weights are just a few pounds here and there, but she needs to really challenge herself. She's like 5'9". Most of the women down there are like 5'5", 5'4", 5'6". You know, that at flyweight too. Come on, man. There's no challenge. But Mayer is correct when she's saying that she should be at the top of consideration in the top 5 of the women that she named. Herself, Clarissa, Katie, who was the other person that she said? I just had the name on the tip of my tongue. There there's at least, a few of them that could be right there, at the top. We need to see these fighters take the risks. And there are in the women's division of boxing many who do take the risks. That's much respect when it comes down to them and what they're doing with that. But yeah. But I'll leave that, that interview with her right there, because she made a lot of great valid points there. And shout out to Fight Hype, the young man that was giving the interview with her, because he got her to talk. Oh, there was one more point I wanted to make about Michaela. After her loss to Baumgardner, what she managed to do is go back and reinvent herself by moving up. And when she fought Natasha Jonas, who I was trying to think of, that's who Lauren Price defeated. She dropped a split decision to Natasha Jonas, which was another fight that I thought she won. And then they give a unanimous decision to Lauren Price in Jonas's next fight. And Jonas lost that belt. And Jonas is not even in the rankings anymore. I don't know if she's decided to retire, but that was supposed to be Michaela Mayer. But even with that loss, she came back and fought Sandy Ryan twice. And her most recent fight was against that bigger woman at 150 for the super welterweight title, Mary Spencer. Michaela has shown the ability to be resourceful and resilient. She can come back from her setbacks. That's what you want to see from fighters. These other people who haven't had that, been getting gift decisions, like that Natasha Jonas, like that Alicia Baumgardner, losses for fighters like that who've been gifted and coddled, sometimes it ruins them. Yeah, sometimes it ruins them. And that's just a real thing. And see, I say it because it's true. It's a fact. There's no protecting that. You can look across the board. You've seen people get knocked down, they get up and they get. You've seen people get knocked down and their world shatters. Huh? Yeah. Watch boxing. I've said it I don't know how many times, and I'll continue to say it because it's in your best interest to do so. Yeah. In your best interest. But coming up tomorrow, we got a card that's going to take place. This will be in the early afternoon. Another DAZN broadcast. This is going to kick off the day's worth of the trilogies that I've talked about. When George Ladard takes on Tyler Denny, and that fight card is put on by Matchroom, It'll be on the Zone from the Copper Box Arena over there in the UK. These will be middleweights. They're fighting for the BBB of C, the British Commonwealth, and the IBF Intercontinental middleweight titles. These men are coming in, and some of you may know of them if you've watched Matchroom and their promoted fights before, and some of you may not know of these guys. Tyler Denny was once thought to be a young fighter who could get some things done in the UK, but early in his career, they found out that he might give you rounds and things of that nature, but at 5'10" in the southpaw in the middleweight division, he really doesn't have any punching power. The young man is 21-3 with 3 draws. He's been stopped twice, and he has 1 KO. 1 KO in 21 victories. When he fought Hamza Shiraz, he was stopped in 2 rounds. That was his last defeat. Earlier in his career, back in 2019, he lost a majority decision. And back in 2018, he got stopped in 8 rounds by a gentleman by the name of Reese Cartwright. So he's playing the opponent here, where the youthful George Lidard is coming in with his undefeated record of 13 wins, no losses, 8 KOs. He's 23. He's 5'10" also, out of the UK, from Essex. He's an Essex boy, Drew. The Essex boys, George Lidard. And you can believe he's going to be looking to get at Denny. I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 rounds. Yeah. The Dart is an aggressive sort. I've seen him fight before. That fight that he had with Kieran Conway back in October of last year, he had him down in the 9th. And in the 10th, Conway's corner, they stopped the fight, threw a towel in, because Lidard was putting it to him, putting B to A, as they say. So it's interesting, but that'll be roughly around 4 p.m. Central Time. These guys, they'll come to the ring, and there's a couple of undefeated fighters on the undercard of that, but it's mostly guys that you wouldn't be too familiar with. And an assortment of middleweight, lightweight, super middleweight, and featherweight bouts on that undercard. They'll probably have a Before the Bell show, which will show, because when they have fights at the Copper Box in the UK, it's usually a smaller venue to show off up-and-coming fighters. So that's kind of like the Blue Horizon. For those of you who remember the old Tuesday night fight shows and stuff, they'd have young fighters fighting at the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia and stuff like that. That's what that is. So the Copper Box is that in the UK. So, guys like, what's his name? Johnny Fisher. They fought at the Copper Box and stuff like that, as they're trying to rise up into contention. But that's going to be the earlier fight tomorrow, kicking things off for boxing on Saturday. Now, as the day goes on, we got a cross event where we're going to see Pro Box TV, where Lester Martinez is taking on Emmanuel Alim. And this is going to be the WBC super middleweight interim title. Another interim where, you know, the Gooch, Mauricio, is gonna, you know, steal some more ducats from fighters. Yeah. Now, Alim is a fighter who he's been like on not I want to say pro box, but showbox. He's been out there. He's gonna have to decide how he's gonna fight Lester Martinez. He's got short arms, but his hands are quick. He's 32 years of age. Martinez is 30. They're both orthodox fighters. Only an inch separates them in height, with Alim being an inch taller at 5'9". But Martinez is the more complete fighter here. Alim is not a big puncher. He's got 14 KOs in his 22 victories. He's got 3 losses and 3 draws. There was a time when he was trained by Ronnie Shields. I'm not certain if Shields is still training him. And he's fighting out of Richmond, Virginia. He's going to have to decide what he wants to do in this fight, because Lester Martinez is almost like a champion in the wings, waiting in the wings. You know, we'll see. Yeah. So, salute to EJ over there in the Rumble rant. He says, for the chop session, Sensei. RIP to Chuck Norris, and your knowledge and wisdom, Sensei, is greatly appreciated. I'm looking forward to the Pro Box event for tomorrow fights. Heavyweight? Yes, sir. You know, I'm telling you, just like I'm taking the time out to talk about boxing this evening for you guys, who else is doing that? Where's the appreciation? Share my content so you can move me up in the algorithm, so more eyes will be laid upon what I do over here. Don't just sit back there and watch and, oh, now let me go see what so-and-so talking about. Share my content, man. This is quality stuff. When you go somewhere and you have yourself a good burger or some slamming ribs, or for some of y'all who like that yard bird, don't you go and tell people where you were at? Don't you tell people, man, I was over there and they had the best neck bones, the oxtails, that Jamaican joint down the street. Yeah. Well, tell people about Stormybman. What the hell is wrong with you? And I know you can do it because you ain't doing it, because I get notified when you do it. Yeah. What's really going on, man? Can't do that little solid for me? And I did a breakdown video for this fight. You know? I did it. Yeah. But anyway, so this fight will be on Pro Box. And we're looking at an estimated ring walk time of 10 p.m. Central, where they're going to come to the ring, Martinez and Alim. Now, opposite them, Same ring walk time and everything. Will be another good, it's a good fight card. It's a fight that you would want to tune in to see. Only thing is, I want to say this about the Pro Box fight. Robert Garcia, Gary Jonas, and Samson Likowitz are the promoters for this. And those undercard fights, it'll be good to tune in to Pro Box because some of these fighters you'll see on there, there's a couple of undefeated fighters, welterweight, featherweight, super welterweight rather. And these guys, you need to know them because when you watch them fight, you're going to be like, oh, and you want to see them again. That's why I highly suggest tuning in for the Pro Box fights. But you also gonna have, like I said, opposite of them, the fight between Carlos Adames and Austin Ammo Williams for the WBC middleweight title. This is a good fight. And Ammo is getting this opportunity to challenge for a world title. Is he ready to take that next step? Has he learned from the defeat to Hamza Shiraz, which is a common opponent for both of these guys? I thought that Adames handily defeated Shiraz. He didn't dominate him, but he fought very well. But because they were in Riyadh, and then that was Shiraz's opportunity at a world title, and he's Turkey's man, I think the scorecards were a little closer, where it came out to a draw. I thought that Adames defended his title. Now, Williams, who was stopped by Shiraz, has he had enough time and separation from that stoppage loss to come back and get back on the winning track and ready to go in there and take the title away from Carlos Adames? That remains to be seen, which is why you have to tune in to this fight. But I like Adames. And people forget that Adames has spent some time in the gym with some prominent fighters, like sparring against the likes of Terrence Bud Crawford and some other top fighters that you would not even believe he's had the opportunity to work with behind the scenes. But it makes a difference when you're in there with quality. I haven't heard much about Ammo's sparring experiences and who he's been in with, but I have heard that he's had some issues and personal aspects of his life. You got to get beyond that. If you can't get beyond that, you're only going to go so far. And I'm leaning toward that's the thing with Ammo. He's only going to go so far. Yeah. That's right, Del Riv. Same sentiments there. So we will see. But that fight, 10 p.m. ring walk scheduled time between these guys. And you just don't know. You know? You just don't know. So, but like I said, also, I did a breakdown on these guys. I did my part, you guys. I did my part. You know? I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Leading you horses to water can't make you drink it. Hmm. Drew, if you still out there, you got something to add? You got something to add? Because I've been cooking, man. Yeah, buddy. He says, baked chicken. Do we trust ammo? Fuck no. Shit. I'd rather go to the casino and take my chances. You understand? Shit. He one of them dudes, you got to show me. You know what I mean? And even if he do show something, you have to look him side eye and be like, mm-hmm. Shit. You know, I don't have no problem saying, you know, it's like some people be trying to be like, well, but I'm like, fuck no. I'm too old to be using discretion. No. Yep. Yeah. You can say out of ammo, Drew, but there's another way you can say it after the fight, too. It's going to be ammo out, huh? Yep. Did I say that? Yep. Sure did. And see, the worst part of that, they can listen to this, right? And they can be like, man, fuck that dude, Stormybman. Yeah, prove me wrong. That should be incentive to make you say, all of y'all be quiet and attention, like Ali said. Crawl. Eat your words. That's what you're supposed to do. You ain't supposed to go in there and grab your fucking fanny bag, huh, with your lip gloss and be like, I can't stand him. What? If you don't get the hell out of here, didn't we just talk about Chuck Norris being one of the last of the real men? Shit, what's wrong with you guys? Capri pants wearing motherfuckers. Shit. Nope. No mercy. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. I done did this long enough. It's Friday. I'm gonna go and have me a sandwich and cool my heels. I might watch Slaughter in San Francisco. For those of you who don't know, that's a Chuck Norris movie. And he made it back in '73 after he made Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee. He's in there with Don Juan Teo. He's playing a bad guy who in the end gets beat down with a shovel. Favorite Chuck Norris moments. Yeah. See, y'all don't know how to enjoy life like Stormybman, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh, you watching the Octagon, Drew? Sakura, I know you're here. What is it that he's saying? I know you're out there. Can I kill my brother? Why? See, y'all gotta have seen the movie to know what I'm joking with Drew about that movie, The Octagon. I might watch that too, man. I got it on Blu-ray. I'm gonna check it out. See? Oh, man. You guys is so hell, man. I'm telling you. I'm stupid with my sense of humor, man. I'd be like, but I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here, you guys. I appreciate everybody that came out, support me, those who hung through the entire show. You know what I mean? Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Follow me on Rumble, share the content. We got good stuff going on, man. But yeah, get on up out of here. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.